Does your little one love Paw Patrol? What about dinosaurs? Well, perfect, because the new season of Paw Patrol is here. And guess what? It's a dino rescue. I can't wait for my kid to watch each episode 10 times a night. On the plus side, all your holiday and birthday gift shopping is pretty much done because, of course, there are a whole new batch of dino rescue toys, too. And for a limited time at Target, get 15% off the new Paw Patrol Dino Rescue toys with code PAW15. Paw Patrol Dino Rescue. Check it out. It's gonna be pawsome.
Welcome to
Separate Bathrooms and other handy marriage tips.
All right. Now, was that big deep breath one of trepidation, or was that one of just because you were having a big deep breath?
Trepidation.
Welcome to Separate Bathrooms. I'm Cam.
I'm Ali.
And today we're talking about sex. Yeah. Now, right, just that word, for a lot of us, it brings up stuff, you know. For some, even the word an airport departure card referring to male and female will incite the answer, yes, please, and often.
You reckon someone's written that on
Do
a
I
card?
reckon? I know. In fact, I might have done it myself.
Oh, God.
Because I feel so, sometimes, like in the past, very immature around sex, right? The word sex can incite fear just as much as excitement. Sometimes it's excited fear.
Excited
My
fear.
point
Sure.
is it's
Yeah.
loaded, right?
Yes, yes.
It's loaded. What about you? How does that word make you feel?
I have no feelings around it whatsoever.
Get lost. Evil.
Pressure. Pressure. Yeah, that's what I have. That's
Is it
the
pressure
first.
is it pressure? Wow. We're getting into it today. Is it pressure then in the way of performance, or is it pressure to explain pressure?
Well, because
'Cause, by the way, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to have pressure for performance.
yeah,
You don't.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
know.
already feeling pressured
Okay.
from you right now.
Okay.
Because I don't really want to. I actually don't really want to talk. I don't want to talk about my sex life publicly. Quite frankly, that's one thing I don't want to do, because that's something that I have a boundary around. I have a privacy around, and I'm willing to talk about a lot of things. And we've talked about a lot of intimate things. And I, you know, as a public figure that you are, and I'm married to one, I just don't want random strangers coming up and knowing about my sex life. That's just my personal thing. So the pressure I'm feeling a bit of pressure about, what to share, what not to share. I think it's a really good topic. I think it's an incredibly important topic to talk about. You're always very willing to be very open about your feelings about sex, and it's
Well,
something.
maybe not publicly.
Really, I feel like you mention it all the time.
That's only to you. When have I mentioned it publicly?
You've mentioned it a few times on this podcast. You've dropped little things in, and
Yeah, but they're fun. I
guess we haven't gone
dropped
into
factoids.
intimate
We've
details.
never actually tackled the subject of sex in this podcast. I've never
Right.
tackled it on any podcast
yeah,
or any kind of thing where I've talked about it. I guess my trepidation about doing this is how words can be construed by third parties in terms of, you know, other people listening to our podcast, cobbling together an article about it.
yeah, because that's
And
happened multiple times
It has.
from the podcast,
and then
yeah.
creating that service, creating some sort of half-assed article, presenting our sex life in a certain way, or
Yeah.
whatever we say, twisting it, which is
Yeah.
why I understand, and you as a listener need to know this is why a lot of celebrities don't open up about certain topics at all, or speak very generally, because words get twisted and can be edited, and all sorts of manipulations will take place. However, that said, I think here we are talking about relationship, and sex is a part of a relationship. And so we can talk about the importance of a sexual, I think in terms of a successful relationship, there has to be one, communication. There has to be, in most cases, a healthy, communicative sex life. And that's what we can discuss today. We don't have to go into the ins and outs of whys and wherefores about our own sex life. We can allude to different times and challenges.
Yeah, that's
and periods
fine.
that we've gone through.
Yeah.
And I hear you, honey, and I'm really sensitive to that.
Right.
Part of that, because I don't want to betray you or our trust in each other, because that's part of I think a healthy sex life is trust.
So we won't mention the part where you dress up as Spider-Man.
You see, you had to bring that in.
Yeah.
The sticky webs and all that stuff. You did go there.
Oh my God. That really just, that did not happen. That's some kind of weird fantasy.
No, well, maybe it is. We look through that web 40 feet.
Anyway.
Swing between buildings.
Does your little one love Paw Patrol? What about dinosaurs? Well, perfect, because the new season of Paw Patrol is here. And guess what? It's a dino rescue. I can't wait for my kid to watch each episode 10 times a night. On the plus side, all your holiday and birthday gift shopping is pretty much done because, of course, there are a whole new batch of dino rescue toys, too. And for a limited time at Target, get 15% off the new Paw Patrol Dino Rescue toys with code PAW15. Paw Patrol Dino Rescue. Check it out. It's gonna be pawsome.
Well, what kind of started us off on this particular topic was that, as you know, listeners, that we are always looking. I'm a researcher. I love to read about things, and I'm a big TED talker. I love watching TED Talks. I think they're short, they're smart, they're always really interesting, and I personally have gotten a lot of great information. And I found this one on YouTube. Well, actually, I subscribed to TED and it came through. It's called Sustaining Strong Sexual Connections Over Multiple Decades. And it's by a sex educator by the name of Emily Nagoski, would you say?
I would say Nagoski, yeah.
Nagoski, yeah. Had many, many views.
Over 2 million views.
Yeah.
So people are
which is
interested.
Good. Well, TED Talks get a lot of views anyway. But I think, again, you mentioned the word sex. That's going to pique a lot of people's interest.
Yes, because they say yes, please, and often.
Right. Taking it all the way back to the beginning. I got you. I got that segue. Look at me.
I just wanted to make that joke again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to hear it again?
No,
or is that
okay? I might throw it in. You never know. If I get uncomfortable, because that's usually when I do it, is when I'm uncomfortable. Right. That's when the Beavis and Butthead adolescent part of me comes out.
Okay.
Which you hate and find very unsexy.
We'll see if he emerges. So it piqued my interest because we've been married for multiple decades. So I wanted to hear what she had to say, and it was really interesting.
And we can go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as Ali said, we've been together since 1990. I was going to say 89, but I think it's 90.
It's 90, yeah.
1990. So I need to be respectful to our youngest daughter who might be listening. We've been intimate since that time. Been through many peaks and valleys of our relationship. I've always placed a high premium on our sexual, like the lady of maps. A sexual relationship. Intimacy. Yeah, and I think our sexual relationship can be summed up in nature, really. I love to surf. I love to have sex. Sometimes there's waves. Sometimes there's not. The waves come, they go, they come back in again, they go, they're back in for a second. Get my point. I'm
going to call bull crap on you right now.
Why? What's bullshit about that?
Because...
Or bull crap about that? Wow.
Well, our young ones listening.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Because you're not okay with the waves going in and out.
No, did I say that? I didn't say I'm okay with it. I said it sums up.
Oh, okay.
I would love there to be waves every day.
Right. Okay.
Right? I'd be a way better surfer. Well, that's interesting. Okay, wait a sec. Here I go. Here I go. The issue for me is around expectations, right? I still wrestle with my teenage expectations that I thought, what I thought sex was going to be like as a married man, on tap, anytime. And you will remember even the vicar that married us when we went in for those pre-marriage meetings, he alluded to that, you know, Shirley's vagina is my vagina. Remember that? Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Right.
It's
and it's unreasonable. It's an unreasonable expectation.
Are you saying the vicar was saying that sex is on tap now that you're getting married?
I think he was. That's the way I took it.
That's what you got from that?
Absolutely. That's what I got out of it.
Wow.
Saying that, you know, your wife...
Did not take that at all.
This is your wife and she's there and your penis is her penis and you can basically use it for each other anytime you want. That's what the marriage is all about. That's what I got from it. So, honey, I've been walking around for 30 years going, what the hell? What's going on? So,
well, the man called it a vagina for a start. That was your first red flag that it was a load of bull. That's a true story. We've mentioned this on the podcast before.
I know. It's still funny.
Never have I heard it called a vagina.
I've heard penis. I think Jean-Claude Van Damme called his penis a penis.
Well, he's French. There's a little bit more. Yeah,
we'll digress. Let's get back on.
Okay,
go
ahead.
That is an unreasonable expectation, and that's an expectation that I have been wrestling with for
30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So, my thing is, how can we help our kids through this if they're having similar expectations? Because there's a lot of, I was going to say porn, there's a lot of porn out there. There's a lot of different avenues to look at sex, and it's still an old way. It's still very much, most of it, the stuff that I've seen is still set up for the man. You know, it's a very male dominant and dominated space, right? So how can we help our kids through this? Because my folks didn't really talk about it. My dad didn't talk about it with me. I hear this a lot from men in men's team. And in my other sort of conversations with guys, that often their expectations are not met, or it's just different. And it's often because there hasn't been much communication about it. So some of us are lucky enough to be able to talk to our kids about it. Others, I don't know, play them this potty. It'll at least give them some information on the experience that they might face growing up in a sexual relationship.
Well, I hear what you're saying. To me, I think the first thing, because that's not what we're really talking about. We're not really necessarily talking about like what it is for our children. Like, to me, it's getting right with each other, getting right with your partner.
Yeah. Sorry, go.
So I think that's a whole other topic, you know, going in, you know, we're talking about, you know, sexual relationship and, you know, sex in a long-term relationship and how do you keep that alive? Like, I don't know. I don't think.
Well, it is introducing another component to it, which is the component is that as a kid, our education, our sexual education, like for me and I know my mates and stuff, our sexual education was zip. You know, it was looking at those Penthouse magazines or whatever it was, or your dad's VHS porno stash.
Yeah.
And it gave us unrealistic expectations, and a lot of it was built around shame and not good enough, unworthiness rather, you know.
If you go all the way back, I mean, but sex in general, it's got very much, I grew up with it thinking it was something dirty. I didn't grow up with, this is a beautiful, intimate, wonderful act between two people who love each other. That was not the way I was taught about sex. So I understand from that point of view how that colors everything from onwards from there. So,
and that's what we're bringing into our sexual relationship is that stuff.
Yeah.
Is that those initial thoughts, those point of entries that we came into.
But when do you start talking about sex with kids? Like, at what point do you I mean, as soon as they have access to a computer, do you need to talk to them before that? Or, you know, at what point do you say... And the thing is, I feel like you need to believe it yourself. You need to me, in teaching something to our children, I want to believe it, know it, understand it, because then it's the full experience that I can speak from. I mean, I can say, look, I'm challenged by this, but this is, you know, do as I say, not as I do, sort of thing. So at what age then do you bring that in?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be different for each parent is going to make that decision based on their relationship with their child and where the child's at too. I guess my point with this is, in order to sustain a sexual relationship or grow one within a relationship, and I know a lot of relationships fall apart because the sex life falls apart, and so what can we do? I'm just saying, here we are talking about this video. And different points that we get from this video, and how to sustain and grow our relationship, and then with your kids, they might be 20, I don't know, but it might be something that's more of an adult child coming into a relationship, 18, 19, 20, going, here's what to expect, or here's something that comes up in a relationship. It's not always going to be this initial wham in the groin area going, I've just got to do it and have it with you right now. It changes.
Right. I want to go back to something that you said that I disagree with. You said, you know, relationships fall apart because the sex life has fallen apart.
I said some relationships.
Some relationships, right.
It's a part of it.
Yes, though. I'm
saying everyone.
To me, yeah, no, I understand that. To me, the sex life is something there's already been a bunch of stuff that's fallen apart, because two people who are emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, all of that stuff, and they have great communication. There's nothing emotionally stuck between them. Then I think that's when the sex life is much more flourishing. I think in order to get to a place where sex is not happening, there's already been issues that have come up between them. Unless...
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Unless there's an actual physiological issue, and that is often what happens with menopause.
And here's something that most guys are not taught about. We're not warned about that. We do not know. Menopause is not on our radar that's going to happen at the age of 45 to 60.
Women don't know it either.
No, but you know it's coming.
Yeah, it's
you don't know when it's coming. We don't even know the concept of it, what that means for guys.
Right, but for a woman, you're not expecting to lose your sex drive either. Right. You don't expect that to happen. So, yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It is absolutely the guys.
There's been so much stuff, information that happens in life that we're not told about because of just human evolution. I think it's just that we just haven't spoken about it. So it's not something that's passed down. And I think the more information like that we have is, especially for guys, knowing that, you know, your wife is going to go through this big physiological change in her life, midlife, and it's going to affect her physically, it's going to affect her emotionally, it's going to affect her spiritually. And at least that gives guys a chance to mentally prepare for that moment of going, my wife's been there for me our entire relationship. I need to be there for her now. And I have an idea of what's going to happen.
And that the best way a guy can support a woman through that is to read about menopause, read up on it, like find out what it is and listen to what other women say, you know, what it is that they, you know, because sometimes it's hard to even verbalize for a woman what they feel. So if your partner is read up on it, then they can come to you and go, I read something today that this must be really tough for you. Are you feeling this? Are you feeling that? And it's so supportive to
Right.
do that.
And I guess that's something that that just showing that support and that care could potentially lead to more sexual activity.
Well,
Because there's no
maybe.
closeness there. Look, we're talking about menopause now,
creates
but
emotional
briefly.
intimacy, which is what
you want.
which is what women want.
Oh, and you too, right? I mean,
Of
that's
course,
been
yeah.
a big part of our
Absolutely.
coming together when I've been away on jobs and come back again.
Yeah.
So Ali's talking about something there about the menopause, and I will use your words because Alison's writing a book about menopause. And when's that coming out?
Next year.
Okay. And when you were doing your research for it, you said there's not a lot of information out there that's positive.
Yes.
Most of it's negative.
Yes.
Right. So you're putting a bit more of a holistic spin on it in terms of adding, not just talking about how horrible it is, but what's to gain from it. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We guys can read about menopause and you get your shit scared out of you because it's like, oh my God, she's going to turn into a monster.
Yeah.
Right? and maybe sometimes she does.
Some women, it's like puberty. Some kids cruise through it like barely a blip on the screen.
Yeah.
Some, lose their minds. And
Yeah.
it's very similar to that for women, So that's the
thing. All right. So
thing.
these are the things that I guess that's to my point about why we're talking about this is because and where it leads to. There's so many avenues to go into and unpack, like the menopause thing or what the education for us as little kids or teenagers or young adults as to preparing and how can you sustain a long relationship, right? So this is a great video. I'll just get back to, what is it called again? It's called Sustaining a Strong Sexual Connection Over Multiple Decades. The lady's name is Emily Nagoski. A couple of million people have watched it. Now, I thought the very beginning of it was interesting because she says evidence suggests that almost none of us have sex very often because we're busy. We're busy not getting busy, really. And couples that do have sex often, that it's not wild, crazy, adventurous sex. It's not about where you're doing it, how you're doing it, or why you're doing it. But the people that are having sex often, it's about post-coital or post-sex cuddling. That's the ones who are doing it the most are not doing it that often, but they're cuddling afterwards. And she, what I loved about it was she talks about the importance of getting ready for sex. And she uses that analogy of getting ready for a party, where you get your party clothes on. You've been looking forward to that party all week, and get your party clothes on, go to the party, and you're with the people that you like. And she says that in terms of the analogy of having sex, get ready for sex, and get your clothes on, or get your clothes off, or your nightie or whatever you're putting on.
She was saying that that's the way to springboard into sex, because it's like, here's the invite.
Yeah.
The party gets closer and closer and you go, I don't want to go to this party. I'm tired. I've had a busy week.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I'd rather just stay at home by myself and watch a movie. And then you drag yourself to the party, you put your clothes on.
Yeah, right.
You go, oh, all right, I guess I'll go for 5 minutes. I'll just pop my head in. You get there, the party turns out to be fabulous because you're dancing, your friends are there, you're laughing. So that's
the kookaburras?
You're laughing like the cookies. They're having sex out there.
Evidently.
So that's what she was saying. Drag yourself, get yourself into bed without your clothes on, and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Because then you remember, oh, this is actually something that I like.
She said something really nice too. It was like, allow your skin to touch your partners and allow, and you sort of wake yourself up. Your skin gets woken, your body gets woken up. She mentions the two best indicators for sustaining a strong sexual connection. One is a strong friendship, strong trust. That question, are you there for me? And that belief that, you are there for me. And then, and the second one was of couples that are able to sustain a long-lasting sexual relationship. They prioritize sex. They decide that it matters. To have sex matters, and they make time for each other. And I thought, oh, okay, you know, that's all right. We're 6 minutes into the video or something, and that's great. And then she brings up the couple that are nice people who still love each other, but they come to dread sex and what that is. And how did you feel about that bit when that came up?
Oh, I totally related to that. And I thought that was because that is that is so often the question. I love my husband or I love my wife. You know, we get along great. We're good friends, though I just dread it. I don't feel like I want to. And I don't know if this is, you know, I've spoken to a lot of women about this. There's so much on our plates, and particularly women these days who are working, who are still raising children, who are sometimes caring for their elderly parents, who are still getting grocery shopping, food on the table, getting their kids to netball practice, and they might be dealing with hormones and menopause changes as well. And sex gets put into the bucket of pressure. It gets put into what I have to do, another have to do, or else I've got an angry husband, I've got an upset husband. So, and then it becomes on the chore list or the dread list. So when she said that, I was like, yeah, I understand that. I get that.
She uses that great analogy of, she calls it hedgehogs.
Yeah, I like that. It's very cute.
in the bed. And I like it because it was like, what is, she talked about the couple, that particular couple, and standing up, and they stand up and then they stand apart from each other. And what gets between you both. I sort of use the term paper cuts. There's a bunch of really small things that have happened over the course of a relationship which cause you to separate.
And she uses hedgehogs as the spiky issue.
These spiky hedgehogs.
Which is what I was saying before. Like when you're not having sex, there's usually a bunch of things in between those. Yeah. Why you're not.
Yeah. And they create this fear, this loneliness and the frustration. And we've been through this. So through our almost 30 years together. Well, we've been, like I said, at the beginning, we've been sexually active together for 30 years. And she was referring to those, she actually said furry hedgehogs. Not so spiky.
Oh, maybe that's me putting it.
Yeah. That they need these problems, or these paper cuts need to be loved. They need to be treated. I guess the paper cuts need to be treated. The furry hedgehogs need to be loved and set free, so that the space between you is not filled with those old feelings and those old thoughts. And
that's the communication. That's the talking about.
It is.
What each hedgehog...
Yeah, what's that hedgehog represent? Yeah. And you go, oh, God, thanks for the lesson. And it actually led me to, I guess, go deeper for myself, going, the more I look at places, because often these hedgehogs or these paper cuts are not spoken about. We don't actually put them away for another time and talk about it some other time, and they never get addressed. So for me, that's the places that I keep hidden, and I keep those things, and whether that's, I mentioned before, that shame or it's guilt or it's unworthiness, keep those things in the dark. Well, when you don't address those things, they begin to run your life. They begin to actually colour how you see things. Mm-hmm. That's your perception of stuff. And so what I'm working to do, I'm not saying I'm there, is to embrace those things, to ask myself consistently when I'm feeling those feelings come up, is it true? If it's like you're a failure, you suck, is that really true? Am I a failure? Do you really suck? What if I have no money? How am I going to be? Is that going to kill me? No, it's not. So in fact, in what my life's taught me, it's those darkest moments that have actually created the greatest riches. So, yeah, I think that's a really interesting component of the video to watch. And we're talking about this video that I'll say it again so you don't have to go back to the beginning. Where's that piece of paper? Sustaining a strong sexual connection over multiple decades. And it's on TED Talk. It's a TED Talk from Emily Nagoski.
The thing I liked about it too is that it's not rocket science. it's something that I think probably most people, like when she said it, I was like, yeah, of course that makes sense, and I think that, that's been talked about for many years, that women want emotional connection and intimacy, and men often go first through the physical intimacy. So and she addresses both in that, saying the physical intimacy is really, really important, and the emotional intimacy is really, really important. So I liked that there was both of those things. And the thing that I loved too, and as a woman, I liked this because she says strong friendship and strong trust. It wasn't about, it's about, getting in your most sexiest outfit and like getting your abs, getting
Sculpted.
a 6-pack and being, overtly sexual and, getting the dialogue going. That's all about, the hot stuff, like all of that stuff that, again, for me, just feels like pressure. It's just like...
I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people would feel like that too.
I would think so too.
It's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not authentic.
I had a friend of mine, we were talking about, a girlfriend of mine, and we were talking about sex in a marriage and stuff like that. And she goes, sometimes I just want my husband to have a harem and just go, I love him, but you know what? Just go outsource for sex and just go have sex outside. So it's not on me all the time to have the pressure of that. And I was like, wow. I mean, if you could maintain that, it's not for me. But that's sort of the pressure she was feeling. Right. Just like, wow, it's just, she's at a different point in her life where it was like, I can't give him what he wants. So she was joking.
Did you say that?
No, I did not say that. I'm not offering you up to any harems. Thank you very much.
No, it's just something you said then. I was like, what? Hang on a second. That's something. Right.
No, not me.
What I loved, what she mentions is this idea of prioritizing sex and how romantic that is and how sexy that is, to be chosen, to be made a priority because that connection matters enough to do it. And I thought that was really awesome. Let's prioritize this because it's really important. I want to connect with you. And it's not so much just the act of, however you're going to do it. It's actually more about the feeling of it and really becoming, for want of a better way, becoming one and having that connection. That just springs to mind that Avatar movie and how the creatures mated or how they made love in Avatar.
They locked their tails.
Yeah. But they truly became one. Dragonflies do it, Some dogs, I think dogs do it. Don't dogs' penises do something weird that you...
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Well, there's a connection there. That's what I'm talking about.
What?
Becoming one. Right. Becoming one. Yeah. It's not so much the dirty dog just humping and rolling off and going off and doing something else afterwards. It's about, she's referring to prioritizing a union at some time to actually commune together and then cuddle afterwards and really make that a special moment.
Yeah.
And doing it because you want to. And I guess I'm just saying, I find that very romantic and I find it sexy as well, going, wow, you, my partner, wants to do that. She wants to do that.
Yeah, and I understand that. I do understand that. And it's just an addition. I also, what is so romantic to me is you prioritizing spending time with me and hearing what I need to say and asking me about my day and putting the phones away and listening to me and empathizing with me or supporting me, or that kind of romance is money in the bank for me.
Yeah. Well, that was always...
And I understand what you're saying too. Like that is, that is prioritizing that too.
It has to be part of it.
Does it? Yeah, I believe it does.
Yeah. Well, I know, through our history, when I have been away and I've been excited to come back and see you, and I, want to get busy, straight away or just reconnect with you. And very early on in our marriage, you taught me that I actually just need to sit down and look at you for a while and have a cup of tea and talk. And it took me a while to figure that out, to get used to that. But I think that's been part of our success during the times that we're doing really well, And this is, like I said earlier, we've ridden the waves. It's been up and down. That's what happens. That's life. So I guess we get a lot of projections thrown at us going, oh, they're the perfect couple, and look at them, they have no issues or whatever. But I think every couple goes through difficulties, evidenced by, they stay together for 3 years or 10 years and they blow apart. And what we're talking about here is how do you sustain it over a long period of time?
Yeah.
There's a Canadian lady I came across, Dr. Peggy Kleinplatz, and she's amazing. Check out her stuff. Google her. Kleinplatz is, well, I'll stick it on the Facebook page anyway. I'll put that up there. But she gives 3 components of extraordinary sex at any age, and one of them is being in the moment. And she goes on to explain that number 1 would certainly be present, being in the moment, being utterly embodied. So she says be completely focused on what's happening between you and a partner. No thinking about baseball or what happened in the latest episode of
Maths.
Home and Away.
Oh, Home and Away.
Threw that one in there.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say AFL, the Bombers.
Yeah, last game.
Yeah.
But just really lock in on what you're doing there.
Yeah, that.
And sometimes that's harder to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
right?
that takes a lot of practice, and I think for anyone, and we're as we said earlier, we're in a generation now that people are crazy busy, and you're so contactable from the world with text and email and Instagram, and that it's just. Because I read the other day just how to reconnect with your partner. And I know we talked about Instagram and phones and stuff in the previous episode. And it's all about just going away for the weekend without technology. But it's hard. It's hard if you've got kids. It's hard if you're on call, for your work.
People want answers straight away, don't they? People want immediacy. We want to know what we want to know now.
Well, because we have access to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that she said was being in sync with one another. And she said, the poets had it right. It's 2 hearts beating as one. It's I see things through your eyes and you see things through mine. I think that's a good one in the sense, because that's just going, I totally understand how you feel that way. And when you've said that to me, and I feel like he really gets why I'm upset. He really gets why I'm angry or sad. That is romance. That is being in sync, and that's feeling like I've got you on my side, which is so important.
I totally see your side.
And cue the line. Now I'm going to be hearing a lot more of this, even if you...
I totally see where you're coming from. I feel it.
Yes, you do.
I feel you. I feel you.
You got it? Oh,
you complete me.
Oh.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
This is the third one, is authenticity. And if I didn't make a crack about that line, I wouldn't be being authentic. So...
Yeah, that would be not you.
Yeah, she says knowing yourself so well that you can choose to be emotionally naked with your partner. And that requires a certain amount of maturity and willingness to have someone else see you for who you are on your own journey. And she adds, you can see why that wouldn't be something you would commonly find amongst 18-year-olds.
Yeah, that's fair
it's an unfair expectation to have it as a young person, And this is why often they'll say that the sex gets better. These the experts or whoever, the research that the sex can get better the longer you're in a relationship. The more you're authentic, the more you're open and trusting of your partner, that you have a deeper connection. You're really talking about that what was that movie I mentioned before? Avatar.
Oh, okay.
No, not Jerry Maguire.
Oh,
the
okay.
Avatar connection.
Sorry, you're throwing in movies all over the place.
Well, it is my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that takes work.
That's it. Yeah.
That
it takes effort.
It takes intention and it takes work.
Yeah. We're out of time. We will let's send us your reactions to this. Your thoughts. And
Like a facial reaction of like, oh.
yeah, that would be awesome. Let's have a facial reaction to this podcast. Oh my God.
No X-rated photos though. Definitely no X-rated photos.
Oh, I don't know.
No.
Okay. But send us your responses. If you have questions, further questions or comments, hit us up on our Facebook.
It's a good topic.
It is. It's a great topic, I think, too. Yeah. Yeah, it's our Facebook account, Separate Bathrooms and Other Handy Marriage Tips. You can also hit us up on Instagram. I'm at Cameron Daddo. Al's at Ali Daddo. Mm-hmm. She's just looking at me.
Yeah.
And we can dive into this further. But for right now, have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing.
Indeed.
And we'll talk to you on the next one.
All right. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Hi, this is Brooke Devard from Naked Beauty. Are you tired of feeling housebound? I sure am. Break free with the new Unbound cordless auto curler from Conair. It's a high-performance auto curler that's rechargeable and gives you up to 60 minutes of cord-free runtime. Just think of all of the incredible hair looks you can create in 60 minutes unbound away from your wall. Don't get tied down by cords. Love your look, live unbound. Check it out at conair.com and search Unbound.